up, peoples, and welcome back to another video, and happy NaNoWriMo. Whether you're watching this during your NaNoWriMo in 2023, a future NaNoWriMo, just about to jump into Preptober, or about to start a new NaNoWriMo, I think that these 5 tips can help you have a super productive NaNoWriMo. So let's get started. First up, I want to open with a quick preface that I actually tried to write a novel in 60 days this summer. It went terribly. It was supposed to be practice for my first NaNoWriMo, which was in 2023, when I'm releasing this video. But I hated writing every day, and the novel did not make any progress. I'll link the playlist up above if you want to see exactly what happened. However, now I'm only like 10 days into NaNoWriMo, and I'm doing wonderfully. I'm hitting all my word count goals, except for one, but we won't talk about that one. But right now, I'm all up to speed, and the novel's really coming along and going really well. I'm really enjoying the process and having a really good word count. So I want to talk about the things that I think are different from my failed attempt and my successful attempt. The first one is proper preparations and planning. I have always considered myself a pantser. I just sit down and write. I'm a discovery writer at heart, and I think that I still always will be. But I did learn that when I'm writing a novel, I need a bit of an outline. So I did the classic Preptober thing this year, even though it's not really my thing, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'd now say maybe I'm more of a plantser, a plotter, and a pantser. I did character templates, a chapter-by-chapter breakdown, and even a scene-by-scene breakdown, so that I always know exactly what's supposed to be happening in the story. Having this well-fleshed-out outline is really helping me to move forward, because a lot of the problems I had with my last novel, which I'll just call the failed one, were plot-based versus character-based. I knew everything that I wanted to know about the characters and what I wanted to happen in the story, but I didn't know how to get there. I had an endpoint in mind, but all the little spaces in between were really confusing to me, and I didn't know what scene should lead into what scene, or what scenes were important to the story. But when I was writing Project Eros, which is my NaNoWriMo novel, I did a really well fleshed out outline, which was super, super helpful for helping me figure out exactly what's supposed to happen. So instead of having a dead end now at the end of a scene, I know exactly what scene needs to follow it. Now, this is not to say that you should not give yourself space to come up with new ideas and discovery write a little bit. I ended up adding in whole new subplots and characters just because I wanted to and because it happened while I was writing. I'm not making myself stick to the outline, but having the outline is helping to guide me so that I never run into a brick wall at the end of a scene. Now, character templates, I honestly didn't really think I needed, but I found them really helpful. I have a video that I filmed during Preptober which outlines my entire character template and gives you exact details on what I wrote down and everything. So if you want to copy my character template, you can watch that video. I will link it up above. The second thing is that I built a routine. Now, this can mean different things for different people. In the beginning of NaNoWriMo, I was writing whenever I had time in the day. But now I pretty much always write from like 6 to 7, and I've even done other things to make my routine even more specific. I found that listening to the same exact song every single time that I wrote helped me get into the headspace immediately. Usually, when I sit down and I'm trying to write on my computer, there's a million tabs open. I can keep thinking of other things that I'm doing because my computer that I write on is also my work computer. It's where I edit my YouTube videos. It's where I am a receptionist. It's so many things that I'm doing, and they're not the most relaxing, and I'm definitely not a very chill person. If there's something that I feel like I need to be doing, I can't focus on my writing. It just doesn't happen. So one of the things that I learned was that if I played the same song every time, it would, 1, help block out background noise because my computer is in the middle of my living room and my house is small. I live with my parents and my sister, and you know, there's always people going around, there's always people talking. It's not a very quiet environment, which is what I found that I need for writing. I will link a video up above about creating a unique writing routine, which goes more into figuring out the specifics of what you need as a writer to be productive. But for now, we're just going to talk about the exact method that I'm using for NaNoWriMo. So every night at like 6, I've got my work done. I sit down at this computer. I turn on the same writing sprint playlist. I've been listening to my 20-minute coffee shop writing sprint playlist, and I've just been looping it over and over whenever I hit the 20-minute marker. Usually I write for about 40 minutes to an hour. And having the same exact playlist play every single time is really helpful because it's trained my brain that when this song starts playing, it's writing time. So I can close all the tabs, turn on the song, and I'm like, now I'm writing. And through training myself to do that, it's made tuning out all the other things that I have to do and all the other distractions much, much easier. If you're interested in listening to a writing sprint like this, I actually had a phase where I made a ton of them, and I am planning on making more. So maybe once a month or every couple months I'll have a new one, and I will link the playlist up above. You can look through, figure out if there's one that you like, or if there's different ones that you want to use for different scenes you're writing, because I have a couple different moods. I have like cozy coffee shop, but then I also have sinister villain or heroic battle and things along those lines. The next thing that I want to talk about, which is along the lines of distractions, is number 3, write for writing's sake. In the beginning, I was really obsessed with word count, but I found that if I was constantly looking at the timer on the sprint or how many words I'd written, I was actually spending more time looking at those numbers than I was at actually just writing. So I stopped displaying the word count while I was writing and started only checking it after I was done. And that made such a big difference. Instead of being like, how many words can I fit in this sentence? Or, well, I just need 5 more minutes of my sprint and this many more words, I was actually just sitting down and writing, and I was so much faster and so much more productive, and I felt so much better about the words because they all were supposed to be there versus, well, I need to reach my word count. I got more writing done even though I wasn't paying attention to how much writing I got done. So that's why I think that, yes, NaNoWriMo is a word count based event. You're supposed to write the, whatever it is, 1,670 words or something along those lines a day. And I think that if you can do that, that's amazing. I'm still really trying to do that every day, and I really enjoy hitting the word count goals. It's a great sense of achievement, and it helps hold you accountable. However, check the word count after you're done writing. You can always go back and add some more words if you need to hit your word count, but don't have the little box with your word count displayed on your screen the whole time, unless you're using a software where you have to. Because if you have all these numbers up on your screen, like your timer going for your sprint and your word count, maybe you've got a clock and you've got like, you know, a list of little to-do list things that you have to do later, you just need to zone all of that out and write. At the end of the day, you are writing because you enjoy writing and you are a writer. You are not writing to hit the word count. You are writing to write. So just write to write. I said write a lot of times. Number 4, celebrate the little victories. I did not do this the first time. When I was writing my failed novel, all I cared about was finishing it within the 60 days. I did exactly the opposite of all of these things. I wrote at random times that I felt like the lighting was good so I could film it. I did not plan it at all. All I cared about was how many words I was getting down and how quickly I was writing, and it was a timed event, so it was supposed to be writing it with just 20 minutes a day. It became such a hassle and such a numbers game. It was just for the goal of having this novel finished at the end of the series. And I lost the little victories and the little moments, and I just started hating it. I hated that book. I'm not going to use anything that I wrote for it, I don't think. And that was not a good feeling. It made me feel like I couldn't write. So going into NaNoWriMo, I was fully expecting to not be able to write a novel because I had beaten myself up about the previous one, so I thought that I can write comic books, but I can't write novels. It's just not something I can do. But I decided to give it a go anyway because I wanted to try NaNoWriMo. I'm so glad that I did that, and I'm so glad that I'm finally taking these things that I'm talking about in this video into account and doing them, because it's made my experience so much better. The first time when I tried to write a novel, it was not an experience that I enjoyed, and I pretty much decided I don't write novels. But this time, I now feel like I could write novels forever. I love writing them. I love writing novels and comic books equally now, and that's a wonderful feeling. And I got that from celebrating the little victories. Every time that I hit a word count goal, I feel so happy. But also, it feels small. You have to remind yourself that you're working towards something, and that's going to take time. When I say, I wrote 1,677 words today, it sounds good. But if I say, I hit my word count goal for today, That sounds like I'm barely scraping by, that I'm doing the bare minimum. However, if I say, I wrote 15,000 words in 8 days, that makes me feel like a writing superstar. I feel awesome. I feel cool. I feel like this novel's actually going to get written. And that's how we have to think about things. It's all about phrasing. Celebrate the little victories, which I think is how you do anything if you're trying to, be in it for the long haul. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Being a writer is not easy, but it is worth it, and it is fun, and it is enjoyable. I love writing. I'm not doing it because I want a finished product. I'm doing it because it brings me joy. I'm doing it because it's how I creatively express myself. And I have to remember that the same way that I remember that I do want the finished product at the end so I can show people. Number 5, allow yourself to have a bad day. I did not do this when I was writing my failed novel. I pretty much was doing good for the first 3 days, felt like I was on top of the world, then had one bad day and gave up. I'm gonna call myself a quitter for that, honestly. That was a lame quitter thing for me to do. So, for example, that sort of started to happen again with NaNoWriMo, but I pushed through. I had been hitting my word count goal every single day, and as quite the perfectionist completionist when it comes to my writing and all sorts of activities like that I really care about, the one day that I did not hit my word count goal, and it was not even by that much, I missed 200 words. It wasn't that big of a deal. I caught up the next day. But I saw the badge for writing 1,677 or whatever it is words a day slip through my fingers and fall away forever, and I was devastated. I was so sad and bummed. And there was a small part of me that was like, you should just give up. You already lost, basically. You just failed. You just failed with the NaNoWriMo thing. You're a failure. And then there was a bigger part of me that was like, it was like 150, 200 words. You'll write them tomorrow. Yes, you're not getting that badge. And that's gonna bug you, because if you get all the others, but you don't get this, it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna be honest. If that little hole in my thing of badges, it's gonna bug me. But it's not the end of the world. I made a post on my Instagram stories trying to tell myself and trying to tell everyone that follows me on Instagram, so you should follow me on Instagram. Just a casual plug, that you don't have to write every day to be a writer. And even if you do write every day, it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to have unproductive days. Being a person means having productive days and unproductive days. I'd been writing really well and making a lot of progress for 7 days. So then if on day 8 I have a bad day and I spend time doing something else, that's okay. It was not my finest word count that I had achieved during NaNoWriMo, and I was disappointed in myself. But I picked myself back up. The next day I continued writing. I hit my word count goal for that day, and I was back on track. It was no big deal. And I think that Summer Me, who wrote the failed novel, she forgot to do that. They didn't do that. That version of me went, I did not hit my word count goal for today. Therefore, I have failed at this challenge, at this novel, and I will never be good again. And my writing reflected that headspace. I didn't make any more progress after that point. I had one bad day, and then I just had only bad days, and eventually I gave up because it wasn't worth it to me. So, celebrate the little victories, accept the little failures, and write for writing's sake. Plus, the more practical things that aren't headspace related. But I think that headspace and writing are really, really linked to each other, which is why I did a video all about conquering self-doubt as a writer, which I think is a huge part of writer's block, which is why I also made a video about 5 ways to get rid of writer's block. So, if you want to talk more about headspace and how it affects your writing and how you can master headspace so you don't have those bad writing slumps and that you can help avoid writer's block, check out those 2 videos. I'll have them up on the screen. Hopefully you enjoy them, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you want more NaNoWriMo related content every year, because I'm definitely doing this every year from now on. I love NaNoWriMo. It's like my new favorite thing. And I would love to hear if you are doing NaNoWriMo down in the comments and what sort of story your story is. I am writing something completely out of my comfort zone, which is a contemporary YA queer romance. Like what? I write science fiction. I write science fiction comics. This is so new for me, but it's really, really fun, and I would love to try all the different genres, except horror, because horror scares me, so I'm just going to avoid that one like the plague. See you in the next video. Bye for now.